was, as always, our good friend of the show, Colin Gow, with his song Podcast, which is our officially licensed theme song. I am here today, speaking of very special friends of the show, I am here today with a special guest host. The one, the only. Oh, by the way, this is Steve Shoney. I'm the city manager. By the way, we're here with the one, the only.
Jackie Thiel's back.
The real deal, Jackie Thiel, is in the house. And we've got her in the house because we're talking about everybody in Upper Arlington's favorite subject, with actually everybody's favorite school employee, Mr. Christopher Potts. Chris Potts, how are you?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Chris, what is your official title?
I am the Chief Operating Officer for Upper Arlington Schools.
So, basically, that means that for the last 2.5, 3 years, Chris hasn't slept. He has lived and breathed all the construction going on at schools, and has been really kind of the in-house project manager for all that, right?
That is correct. It has been really, if you think back to when we started this whole process of redoing some of our buildings, 2014 was the first meeting that we had reviewing buildings, and then of course the levy in 2017, and then the construction started in 19. And
so you're still alive? How? Because I need to understand this. Holy smoke, that's a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long 5 years, but a rewarding one, especially for our community, I think. So
what is left to be done on all these buildings?
So we are focusing on punch list on a lot of the buildings, which really are those items that need to be refined and in some cases fixed. We are finishing up the site at the high school. Happy to report that both the new parking lots actually officially opened just this past week, and so both parking lots are now done. Yeah, isn't that exciting?
That's a big one.
And so the practice field at the high school, we'll start to see the delivery of the artificial turf this week. And so that will start to happen. But for the most part, we are done with most of our sites. At Windermere and Wickliffe, we are working with the contractor on our site and grass growth, for kids on the playground. And so if you've driven by those schools recently this summer, you've seen an above-ground sprinkler system. You've seen some very tall grass and in some cases weeds. But we will have that all cleaned up and ready to go for the first day of school.
So this is not some experiment with naturalized. You're not putting a naturalized prairie grass environment out there. No, this is
we are not. We are working closely with the contractor at their expense to make sure our kids have good places to run around and have fun when they're out at recess. So
I do want to get to parking in detail in a minute, but how on earth? What's the pathway to become? What was the pathway for you to becoming the operations manager for the schools?
Can we start that you aren't even from UA, which is shocking because to me you're kind of Mr. UA in a lot of ways with the schools.
Yeah, so yeah, I am actually from Avon Lake, Ohio, up near Cleveland, on the west side of Cleveland.
You do have one very significant character flaw.
I've heard you've talked about that on this show.
I have. He's a Browns fan.
I'm a Browns fan too. So
Great, Jackie.
Yeah.
As I said, character flaws. So we'll forgive that.
Yeah, you can forgive that, and this time of year when they haven't played a game, we're always like they're the greatest team ever.
Oh yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl this year for sure.
But this is my 22nd year in Upper Arlington Schools, and. Did you start
when you were like 10?
I did start young, but I went to Denison University, played basketball there, then did my grad work at Ohio State. Actually, in between Denison and Ohio State, I worked for a professional indoor soccer team in Cleveland called the Cleveland Crunch, and had a fun time there for a year. But then came to grad school, and then was coaching basketball actually at Upper Arlington High School while in grad school, and just kind of, found my home.
So were you on Tim Casey's staff?
I was not on Tim Casey's staff. Mitch Cerny's staff.
Oh, okay, so you were on the girls' side.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
What? Oh,
Mitch was the boys' coach. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So no, I coached with the boys' team. I was varsity assistant and JV head coach.
That's right. It was that long
for a couple
ago.
years. Yeah, it's been a long time. And then
I was going to ask you to do a Tim Casey impersonation. That's why I was. Can you do Tim Casey impersonation? Have you been around him long enough?
I think it would have more to do with facial expressions, which would be hard for people to see.
We'll pass on that.
Yeah, but actually, I've known Tim a very long time. He was my counselor at Wittenberg when I was a camper there. Not to date Tim Casey right now, so no, I have a unique path actually to this position, and started after grad school. Ironically, that we're going to talk about parking today, but it was a position called campus supervisor for the district, which, if you were a student in the 2000 to 2002 range, you would call Mr. Potts the parking lot guy.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah, isn't that ironic, right? And so did that position for a couple of years.
Somehow, my guess is they might have had a couple other terms besides guy.
Yeah.
I
think so. I think so. But it was kind of a pay your dues type of position, right? Had a double master's, and I was overseeing the parking lot. But loved the district and loved the community and wanted to be in the schools here. So and wanted to be an athletic director. And so in 2002, I got that opportunity and did that until 2009. And then in 2009, moved into this role, which was supposed to be a temporary 1-year position while someone was on a military leave. And then after that 1 year, that person, Mr. Paul Kraft, he actually became a superintendent somewhere and then just stayed in that position. So I've been in this position since 2009.
Well, you do a great job, but I think probably these days the most common question you get from the public, is it still about parking?
I think as we get ready to start school, there'll be a lot of questions about parking still. Yes.
I feel like over the years, you and I have worked a lot on the parking. We started with public meetings before construction ever began, and we've come full circle, and now we're in that final evaluation stage where everything's finally going to be open, right?
Yep. I think it'll be a much different feel this year around the high school than we've had the last several years, and I know our neighbors have been very patient, and they're probably very excited for this year to feel much different with cars in the neighborhood.
I want to ask the two. So for those of our listeners who don't know, Jackie is now our assistant city manager for about that. She's only been in that position for about year and a half at this point. And before that, she was our public service director and oversaw all of our traffic and streets and all that sort of stuff. So can the two of you if I am a student who has a parking pass, and we're not going to get into how kids get parking passes and how that gets assigned. We don't have time to talk about that lottery and all that sort of stuff. But if I'm a student, I've got a parking pass, what's the best way for me to get and I'm coming from the north or I'm coming from the south, what's the best way to get to school?
So there's going to be 2 student lots
Okay.
that students will be assigned that do get those spots, and one will be on Brandon Road, and one will be on Mount Holyoke. And so most of our students are probably coming down northwest. They're going to maybe head east on Zollinger and head to Mount Holyoke type of thing, and come down Mount Holyoke, where there'll be a spot there just south of the tennis courts. Mm-hmm. There'll be a brand new lot there that just opened Thursday of last week. And then those students that are assigned spots in the Brandon Road lot will, come down heading north on Brandon Road and turn in there, and they'll share that lot with both staff and students.
And how many spots do we have on site?
So we're adding, for the Brandon parking lot, you're about 240 additional spaces.
Correct.
And then the Mount Holyoke lot that just opened Thursday is about 175 spaces. Mm-hmm. So that's adding 416 spaces. So when you think about 416 additional cars not having to do on-street parking, that's going to make a huge difference. And so some of the parking changes that we implemented at the beginning of the school year last year was basically, we wanted to make the parking situation fair for everyone. So we reverted everything back to restricted no parking on fire hydrant sides of the road. And I think we did a really good job working together and creating maps and getting those out to students and the community. And I think you're going to release those maps again just so that it's clear for students where you can and can't park. We definitely made some adjustments throughout the year, especially near intersections, to make sure that everything was safe and traffic continued to flow. And so we're going to keep that same restrictions in place going into this school year, but with having over 400 more cars off those public street parking spaces, what we're going to do is kind of just look at everything through the month of September and see if there's any like small areas or minor tweaks that we need to do to make adjustments. But I think overall it's going to be a huge improvement. We still have all the parking on Northwest that's marked. We still have all the on-street parking for Brandon, so we've definitely made some huge improvements over the years.
Yeah, and I think if you look, as you look at the high school site too, which we didn't have at the start of the school year, we didn't have till the spring last year, is those sidewalks that connect from Ridgeview Road all the way to the new building. There's different sidewalks in place now, so I think for those students that are still parking on the streets, they can spread out more. It doesn't all have to be north of the high school. It doesn't, there's spaces because of the restrictions on the fire hydrant side, not parking on the fire hydrant side, but you can park on the other streets that surround the high school. But I think Jack is absolutely right. We'll take the first month or two and see how it's going and see if there needs to be tweaks. And I think that's what's great about the partnership that we have, that we're throwing ideas off of each other, trying to figure out what's the best way to make it work. Because it's not any different than the old high school, quite frankly. We've never had enough parking spots on site for every student.
So compared to the old high school setup, on site, how many spots do we have? Give me that.
So we had about 586 before, and we're at, if you count the Brandon on-street parking, we're at 621 now. So there was definitely an addition, but I think that everyone just felt the pain last year because the parking lots were still under construction, and like you said, the sidewalks weren't in place, so it was kind of concentrating all the parking in one area.
And so you guys both know this. I live a block south of the high school site. It used to be a block south of the front door. Now it's a block south of the back of the property. And I do think what you said earlier about that connection from Ridgeview to the building, not having any way for kids to get through from kind of that Chester Road portion, that's going to make a big difference. And now, as compared to before with the old high school, none of that was open for parking, right? All the way down to Northam was closed off. We've opened that up on all those streets around just to make the whole thing work better. So I do appreciate the partnership that we've had on that. So as you look forward to your job and operations at the schools, I know you well enough, you'll take half a breath. You won't take a full breath, if you even allow yourself to take half a breath. But what's the next big thing once you close out the punch list, once you get these things done, once you get that darn practice field, get some turf delivered, kind of as you look out to the horizon for the schools and school operations and school facilities, what do you see as the big thing?
I think one of the most important things for us over the next several years, as our maintenance team moves from 60-plus-year-old buildings to brand new buildings, is one, learning the systems and understanding how to operate them all efficiently, but also making sure that we're taking care and protecting the investment that our community's made in those buildings. And so we're going to really concentrate on assessing and being aware of when things may need to be fixed. Things happen, and so I think we're going to focus on making sure that those buildings, along with those that we haven't touched, Jones, Hastings, and Burbank, that we're maintaining those investments that our community has made.
And I appreciate that you guys went through and built all of this ahead of our community center, because I know I've already been picking your brain a little bit about lessons learned or what worked well and what didn't. So I appreciate your help as we're designing our community center and preparing for that big adventure.
One more kind of fun question, or not fun question, I don't know, you can decide whether you think the question's fun or not. What do you love about your job? What do you love about working at UA, and what do you love about your job?
Yeah. I think I love that not every day is the same. There's a lot of variety of what happens each day. But I think more importantly, anyone that's in the education field or in, even though I'm not directly tied to curriculum, everything our operations department does relates back to the education of our students. And so, what I love about it, and I actually loved it too when I was athletic director as well, is just seeing the successes that kids have and throughout every day, and just seeing them, whether it's in the classroom, through the arts in the drama program, just the amazing things our students are doing across all of our buildings, and I wish we could showcase them all in some way. And I think our board does a good job of trying to honor those things at board meetings and things. But if people could get out into the buildings and see the great things our students are doing as being led by our staff, I think those everyday miracles that are happening are good. It's good stuff.
How many games did the Browns win this year?
7.
So if a Browns fan says 7, that means it's probably 5.
Yeah. I was trying to be realistic, I have no idea who's going to be on the field for us. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
But, so.
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. Do you have any other questions?
No. Thanks
for
so
coming
much.
on. And as always, thanks for doing everything you do and for being such a great partner. We are really, I talk about this all the time, how lucky we are to have such good partners with the schools, and knowing that, if we call you about something, it's the community's problem or our collective problem. It's not just, well, shoot, the city's got to deal with that. That's the city's problem, or the school's got to deal with that. That's the school's problem. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Podcast. Yeah, we're doing a podcast. Click the link, listen to our podcast. Yeah.
Well, we are back. We are here today with Najib Kamagate.
Yeah.
Kamagate, right?
Yes, sir.
Najib is a resident. He is a middle school science teacher in Gahanna, an award-winning middle school science teacher over in Gahanna.
Yes, found that.
And we're really excited to have him on today and talk about a little bit about what it's like to be an educator, what it's like to be a middle school science teacher, and his kind of origin story here in
Yeah, that's a good
Upper
reference there.
Arlington. Because one of the things that we found out in doing a little bit of research about Najib is that he is a huge Marvel
Comics in general, Marvel, DC.
Marvel comic book fan. So I'll be back in about half an hour after Darren's done.
I just got back from
book.
Comic-Con. San Diego
all
Comic-Con.
right.
So I'm
I'll
all,
be
I'm
on
all
my-
juiced up, and I saw your stuff, and I was like, I'm just going to have a half-an-hour conversation about
I'll be on my
comic book.
I'll be on my phone. Wait,
My buddy was there as well.
It gets better. So, how old's your son? Najib and I actually just met last night at Arts on Arlington, and you've got a very cute little guy. How old is he?
Thank you. He's 3.
So Darren took his 3-year-old daughter to Comic-Con.
And we kind of used her to live out all of our costume and cosplay dreams, because I can't pull it off, but
We're in the same boat.
she's all dressed up every
So
day.
Najib, I think, has a new superhero looking at his face, and I think this is the only time that anyone has looked at Darren in that way.
And most people are like, I don't know about this guy, but
Yeah.
we're
So
bonding here.
one thing we didn't tell you is we start every episode with Darren and I are both podcast fans, and there's some podcast, I can't remember which sports podcast it was I listened to that does start, bench, cut. So we're going to give you 3.
I'm going to give you 3 superhero teams. Now,
Oh,
you said you like
wow.
DC and Marvel, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure this is
Oh,
fair.
so you're going teams, not just individual super.
I'm going teams.
Okay.
So he's
Okay.
going to give you 3 teams. One team you're starting.
Okay.
One team you got in reserve on the bench.
Okay.
And one team you do the ultimate disrespect of cutting.
Oh, dang, this is
All right, take it away, Darren.
X-Men, Avengers, and of course the DC, whatever they call that.
The Justice League.
Justice League, yeah.
Dang, man, this is tough. All right, well.
And obviously, as a comic book fan, they've changed their membership, but I'm just talking about the teams in general. You can kind of insert your favorite members in there.
From heart, just like fans' favorite, I got to start the X-Men.
All right. See, that's why I put them first. I would do the same thing.
I got to start the X-Men. For the bench, just because they got some heavy hitters, I got to go with the Justice League. I got to go with the Justice
That's
League.
classic.
And this is hard for me to cut.
You're straight up cutting the Avengers.
This is so hard for me to cut the. I'm thinking about like a real life cataclysmic situation. Superman.
It is hard to argue with Superman.
And Batman. So I'm like, let me be smart. I went with my heart for X-Men. I'm going with my head with the Justice League. Avengers. I love you guys, but I'm gonna have to let you sit this one out.
I can't really argue with that, although I'm more of a Marvel guy, so I kind of. But you're right.
So,
how do you beat Superman?
I don't. So, I'm gonna see if I can contribute to this. No, I can't.
Do you enjoy the Marvel movies or the DC movies better?
Oh, the Marvel movies. Have you ever seen any of the DC animated movies?
Now those are legit.
Those
and they
are
do
amazing.
really well with their TV shows too. There's movies that
TV
land.
shows and the movies are amazing. For some reason, the films are piss poor.
I'm gonna ask one more question.
No, go ahead.
Have you seen the Harley Quinn cartoon? That's totally not appropriate for any audience.
I've seen most of season 1, but I haven't got to finish it because most of the time me and my little man will watch like cartoons together. I was like, yeah, I can't watch this with you.
It's a cartoon, and you'd think it's all good, but it's like rated R.
Yeah.
It's got crazy violence and cursing like you would not believe, and it's hilarious, but not appropriate.
We're watching one. I was like, oh yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna have to find some alone time to watch this. I just haven't found any.
So it's like Cartman.
South Park.
Is it like South
I would
Park
say it's
level?
worse.
It's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse than South Park level of inappropriate.
They screened the season 3 first 2 episodes at Comic-Con, so.
You might with South Park, you might be able to get through some of it with a little human because you're not maybe seeing anything too crazy. It's more so the language. That Harley Quinn, it's what you see. It's the visuals.
And it's not just curse. Like South Park just curses for the sake of cursing because it's funny that the little kids are cursing. But this is, what they're saying is completely
it's wild.
adult subject matter as well. So
Okay. It's not conversations you want to have with your little ones.
no, or probably your significant other, depending on how much they're into that stuff. So we'll see. We could geek out probably for the next half hour, but I know you probably want real questions before I rope him back in to the geeking out. So I want to hear more about being a teacher.
So Najib and I do have a little bit of a connection. So I know his brother-in-law fairly well. And because Nick and I used to work together at the city of Columbus, and one of the things we did together when we were at the city of Columbus is actually we went on a sister city trip to Accra, Ghana, and
Wait, what? Is that a city?
Accra is the capital of the country, Ghana.
Oh, Accra. Okay, I thought it was Accra, Ghana. I was like, is that like Wakanda or something? Come on. It's Accra in Ghana. Gotcha.
Accra, capital of Ghana. You were born in Ghana?
No. Me and my family were all born and raised in New York.
Okay.
But that's where we're from, Ghana.
Okay, so you guys are you and your sister are first generation. Your parents were immigrants.
We're the first of the crew on this
So
side.
grew up in
Brooklyn.
Right, okay. And the other thing Nick told me is that you're a bit of a sneaker freak.
I have a healthy habit for footwear.
Is it healthy?
It depends.
So how many shoes do you have? How many pairs of shoes do you have?
Man, ebb and flow. I got maybe 100 something.
Well, when you say ebb and flow, what does that mean? Like, do you sell some or
Yeah,
do you wear them?
I wear all my shoes. I'm big like wear your stuff. Now, when I wear it depends. I have some shoes I haven't worn in like a couple of years. I'm just sitting on them. It's like in case of emergency. I need a grant or something. I can sell this pair. But I've sold some shoes, but I've calmed down over the years, especially now with another human to take care of. But it's like I say, everyone has a vice. and mine is shoes and comics. It's nothing illegal, so I can hold my head up.
So a sneakerhead, I know they collect sneakers, but you don't just display them; you'll actually just wear them too.
Yeah, I have like I put up like my only bit of home improvement, like an IKEA shelf, and I put up like some of my shoes be on display, and the rest are in boxes in my little room with all my comic stuff, and some in the basement. But yeah, like I wear my shoes. Pick and choose the times. Maybe.
So now you're a middle school science teacher.
Yes, sir.
Do the kids? Do you wear your good sneaks to?
It's funny
school?
now. Like I'm grown, I'm washed. I don't really get to do much and go anywhere. So I'm like, man, why am I getting this shoe? I'm like, you know what? You like it, and I'll wear it to school. Some kid will be like, oh my god.
So you're cool. Your shoes are cool even to the kids. You're not picking like lame old dude shoes like this. It's the same kind of cool shoes.
Yeah, I'm big on comfort. So I'll wear some. Like, what are you wearing? I'm like, guys, my feet feel great. I don't care what you think about these. But I also have a bunch of pairs that they're like, how'd you get those? I'm like, don't worry about it, little guy.
I know a lot of sneakerheads collect the Jordans.
Yeah.
Are you into that?
Yeah, I have a ton of, which is funny because I love the shoes, hate the man, but love the shoes.
All right. Wind that back. So what's your issue with Jordan?
He's a jerk.
Well, yeah,
but I mean,
but
you hate him.
It's not like
a pretty strong response.
It's not like
is it like is this like growing up in Brooklyn? Knicks
yeah,
fan
my blood is blue and orange. So me and if my wife would have let me, my son's name would have been Ewing or Patrick somewhere.
Starts. So what's your era? What's your era of Knicks? Is it that Ewing team that always got beat by Jordan?
Unfortunately,
because I love that team too. They were nasty, but they just couldn't get over the hump.
I celebrate Patrick Ewing's birthday every year.
So here is a Upper Arlington, Won't You Be Our Neighbor podcast trivia question that relates to the Knicks.
Okay.
Who replaced Willis Reed when he went out in the 1970 finals?
Who replaced? Was it almost the coach of? It wasn't Phil Jackson. I'm trying to. This is before my time.
I know.
I mean, we didn't know this either until the dude told us. So
yeah. Bill Hoskett.
Okay.
Who is a longtime UA resident, and he was our second guest on the podcast.
First or second? Second guest.
Bill, good man.
See, there you go.
So he's a Knicks veteran.
So he was on the 70 championship team. He grew up in like Centerville over near Dayton. Went to Ohio State, was on the 68 Olympic team, went from the 68 Olympic team to the Knicks, won the championship, and he was so we teased him because we said, he presented us the trivia question in that fashion. I said, so no, what you're really saying is, why were the Knicks fans so happy to see Willis Reed? And it's you.
And I can tie him to another episode.
What's that?
You know that White Castle has their own sneakers.
Oh, you like?
Oh, you wanted trivia?
I was gonna.
He hasn't listened to the show. No one knows that.
No, but it's not the show. Did you know? Anyway, Darren Blue.
I'm sorry.
This is why he's the sidekick.
I just got so excited about White Castle sneakers. Like this.
So we had Lisa Ingram on. Lisa, UA resident, lifelong UA resident, and CEO of White Castle. She walks in here in like the coolest sneakers I've ever seen. They are a collaboration between White Castle and Puma.
I didn't even know White Castle was linking up with Puma.
No, man, I'm telling you, you gotta get these shoes. They look kind of cool.
This is why you gotta listen to the podcast. See, if you would listen to our podcast, you would have better Knicks knowledge. So you say you grew up in Brooklyn, you don't know. I appreciate Willis Reed. That's the only ring. If I can meet this Bill person solely to see a championship ring with the nickname on it, it'd be my life's dream.
All right, this is one.
We're gonna make this happen.
Oh, those are tough.
It's like the cheeseburger interpretation on it.
So those are the cheeseburger ones. They've also got ones that are the colors of just the box and look much easier to tell that they're White Castle. But yeah, so if you're looking for your next pair of sneaks and you want to represent, give the kid, that would be a good, middle school kids would kind of get into you wearing some White Castle sneaks. So talk to us. So grew up in Brooklyn. How'd you end up here in Arlington?
Oh man, this is the story. So I lived in Brooklyn entire life, and then it was kind of weird because I'm the oldest between my two siblings and I guess my mom kind of got tired of me specifically in New York. I don't want to say I was bad, but I was kind of a rabble rouser, kind of hard to rein in. Wanted to do my own thing. And she was like, "Yeah, man, this guy's getting big. I don't know if I can keep him calm and just keep him out of trouble." So she put together an Ocean 11 type caper with my family members to get us out of New York. So she knew, both my sisters knew about Columbus, Ohio. I was the only one that was none the wiser. Because
the whole family came over.
Yeah, we visited here before. I had an uncle and aunt moved out here, so we came here for like a summer. And I was like, all right, man, no, this isn't it. But there's a swimming pool, so we swam, we hung out, we played. So happy to get back to the city. Then this is my senior year of high school. Your other uncle's moving out to Columbus. We're gonna help him move and stuff, and we're moving to the Bronx. This is another borough in the city. So I'm like, all right, man. So we packed up all my stuff. Tell my friends, all right, man, I got to go down to Columbus for the summer. I'll be back, such and such. And then I see the moving trucks, and something just didn't feel.
All your stuff is in
yeah,
it. Was that your
I'm like, something didn't feel right. Like, I was so worried about myself as a kid. I never even asked her, like, where's this new place in the Bronx? Where am I going to see it? I'm just so fixated on just my own high school life. I'm like, yeah, they're going to take this stuff. I'm like, why would they take this stuff? I'm going to unpack it myself. We're going to go down to Columbus. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I got in trouble that day for sneaker-related a little bit out there with my mom. So I was already not trying to get on her.
It sounds a lot like Fresh Prince, by the way.
Man, I know.
They didn't send you to your auntie and your uncle, though. But they just
I was clowned for this many times with my friends after I came on here. So we get here, we pull up, and I'm seeing the place. And after a while, then I see a truck that looks similar. I'm like, no, I'm bugging. That's not the same truck. That's not the same truck. And I walk into the place, and my mom comes down the stairs. I remember like yesterday. She's like, we live here now.
How did you react to that? It's like
oh, man, I was
shattered. Episode ever, man.
Oh, I was shattered. My sisters were all just like,
they knew about it, though.
Oh yeah, they all. You probably saw me with like a Dennis the Menace, like a stick in my stuff, like trying to hitchhike my way back to the city.
I mean, I like this area, but I can only imagine if you were in like New York and you liked New York and you had to come to Columbus. Because
I thought, like, no disrespect, I really thought it was like cornfields and like houses and stuff. Because outside of like the TV, television was my idea of middle America, the Midwest. I didn't know anything. Now it's when it came, okay, this is actual city, but not being able to walk everywhere, Freedom Train, just being stuck in my last year of high school. Oh man, me and that lady were not on speaking terms for a while.
So, which high school did you end up graduating?
I ended up graduating from Independence. I remember I was supposed to try and go to Whitehall. Something happened. I guess our address wasn't in there, so I went to Independence for a year. So all of a sudden, I'm learning about these Columbus type. What's the other school that they told me I was supposed to hate? Walnut Ridge, or all the City League stuff. I'm like, I don't know any of this. I'm just trying to make it through this year so I can get back to the city.
But you never made it back to the city.
Oh no, it was because after it was my senior year, I was just kind of just like adrift. I knew I had to graduate, but then trying to figure out, all right, how am I going to get to city? I couldn't just go straight to a city school anymore because I'm not necessarily a New York resident. So I was like, I'm stuck. I'm just going to find something to do here. My mom wanted to be like an X-ray tech, so I went to Columbus State at first, and I was working towards that. And I got to the point where I was about to take my test to become one, and I was like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm too goofy. I'm like, someone's gonna walk. I'm like, a girl's gonna walk by. I'm gonna make a joke. I'm gonna turn the X-rays up too high, turn someone into an X-Men or something. And I was like, this isn't going to work. But I had a lot of friends from home that I've talked to, still on the phone, and people that I got cool with here, that kids I saw that they were getting in trouble and messed up situations, and I'm like, man, I wish I could find a way to like help, because just a lot of stuff I've just been around experience. Man, I'm lucky to just still be here if I can catch a way to help someone before they get caught down a path or just that they can't get back from. I mean, I can teach, and that's when I decided, all right, man, I'll be a teacher. Then I'll work my way to be an educator, because I love history. I love learning about different things. And I felt, oh, you get some resolve too. So I figured that would be the path.
How'd you decide on biology?
Oh, I mean, science.
Or they decide that for you. I don't know how school
Yeah,
works.
like you have to like pick what do you want to focus in. I actually started off as a social studies teacher because I love just history. That's what got me into comics, is reading about like Norse mythology and different cultures of that nature, and I also just enjoy science. I'm big into Star Trek and Star Wars as well, so sci-fi.
Go down. Hey, what's your favorite? This is an obvious question. What's your favorite Star Trek captain?
See, this is tough. It's I
Give
say
him a minute and start bench cut.
Okay. Well, there's like 5 of them though, but I'll go with the. Well, let's say we'll do Kirk, Picard. I mean, I don't know who you'd want to put as your third.
Cisco.
Oh, you go Cisco. Okay, Kirk, Picard, Cisco. Start bench cut.
Cutting Kirk.
Oh man,
That's
bold choice.
You're cutting.
You
Captain.
cutting.
See, I never really got into the original. Obviously, this was before my time. The original Star Trek. I tried to watch it a couple episodes. And I'm like, I'm cool. Next Generation is what got me like really into Star Trek. So I love Picard, but then Cisco felt like he's close.
Deep Space Nine.
Deep
right?
Space
So
Nine.
I'm sure Steve has never seen an episode of Deep Space Nine.
He's the closest to like imagine like what a real person as a Starfleet captain would be like. I'm trying to live by code, but hey, when it gets real, I can get tough to bend the rules every now and then. And first person that looked like me, I'm seeing as a captain on Star Trek. So I'm like, man, Picard is. Oh my God, he punched Q in the face. If you know who Q was, that would be big to you.
Wait a minute, is Q the is Q like the
Gadget guy from James
pale?
Bond.
Yeah.
Different guy.
Oh, John DeLancey.
No. Is Q the like real pale? Was he a cyborg or something like that?
Oh, you mean
that's the
Data?
Borg.
Oh no, I was thinking Data. Yeah, I don't know who Q is.
Data's an android or cybernetic.
Yeah.
Andrew, you got it.
So
Did I
wait,
get
which
something
one
right in that?
is Picard starting or is Picard benched? Cisco
Picard's
getting
bench,
the
man. I gotta go with my man Cisco. I love Deep Space Nine, man. That's like one of my favorite Star Trek series.
So you don't like Kirk, but I'll tell you the story anyway. So my wife was very pregnant with our daughter. She was scheduled to induce labor like on the 12th because that's her birthday, and we had tickets to see William Shatner downtown on like the day before. And I'm like, I mean, I know you're getting induced, but it is possible that you're gonna like come out during William Shatner, you know.
Yeah.
So she was about as pregnant as could be, but we went and did not happen. I was kind of hoping that Shatner would have to help us deliver Parker because that would have been a great story. But
And he'll be out here in December.
he was at Comic-Con, man.
Oh man,
See, he's got the whole Trump. He's like out at Comic-Con. I saw, at Comic. So
And you need to go sometime.
sell some shoes to go.
No, my buddy hit me up like, "Hey man, you're gonna be hurt." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Dude, I'm gonna go to Comic-Con." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna hurt, man." We all talk about we're gonna go together one day. It's my best friend Rich, and he was like, "No, you are going to be hurt." I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? I got free ticket to go to Comic-Con." I'm like, "You're winning, man! Congratulations!" It's a friend of a friend. He said, "No, I thought it was just like one. I have like 4 free tickets." And this is like the next day, but I was like, "Can you get out here?" I was like, "Man, I can't get out here."
got to go.
And a day, he's like, and they were like vendor passes.
Oh,
they
those
weren't
are the good ones.
Yes.
You can, like, get in anywhere.
So I told him, I'm like, "Man, I love you, but don't talk to me for a day." So, you're upset.
We should have had this episode before I left. Do you watch Discovery?
Yes, I haven't finished the last season.
Do you like it? It's controversial. Some people don't like it.
I kind of like. I'm forcing myself to watch it because of Star Trek, so I can be able to give a full opinion on it. But sometimes I'm like, "Man, what is going on?"
It's a new Star Trek, but the critique is it's not really like Star Trek-y. It's kind of more just an action.
Have you seen Strange New Worlds?
I haven't seen that one yet.
You
Is
will
that good?
enjoy that. I like Strange New Worlds.
All right, so here's just a honest question. So, have either of you watched Stranger Things?
Oh yeah.
I'm behind,
So-
but I've watched it.
So, where does that fit in sort of the comic book? It's interesting to me that both of you guys have seen it and seem to enjoy it
Yeah.
because it's got a little bit of that, and we live. My wife and I have a tendency to binge shows. She might be mad at me for admitting this. We started watching Stranger Things last month. We're done.
You mean the first season?
Season 1.
Oh wow. Respect.
So, do you guys kind of geek out on it? Is that geek outable?
It's not the same kind of geek outable because I mean they're kind of like, I think you're more like kind of like jiving on it, but it's not like you're like, oh, that's my favorite captain or something, because they're more into Dungeons and Dragons and stuff.
Yeah, I know, and I feel like since that's an original series, and I think they've turned it into comics, if my memory serves me correct. There are a couple. I know when I watch like Marvel or certain films, it's like I'm looking to see the story, but also connections to a book that I've read. Like, oh, they really made him look like the way he looks in the comic. Oh, they pulled in this part of the storyline.
Multiverse of Madness, by the way?
Yeah, man.
You don't talk, but it had a lot of cool comic book stuff in it.
Yeah, I've watched a couple times to rewatch, trying to see if I can spot the different dimensions that they're falling through. But I love Stranger Things as it takes like the feeling, that good storytelling, and just the visuals of that show were amazing. I'm not too big into horror. I like some aspects of it, but I like a good, interesting fright. It's not like a fright that doesn't make any sense.
I would say geeks would enjoy the show, but you don't watch it like, it doesn't tickle your like Easter egg. I mean, there's cool 80s stuff, but it's not like, oh.
I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe if I play Dungeons and Dragons, I'll be like, when they play, I'm like, what's the Vecna? When I'm watching the show.
But probably the same people would like both.
Cool.
We like, I mean, geeks usually like all
So like
kind of geek stuff.
So I'm like, what, 10 years older than you, something like that?
Yeah.
So probably geeky comic book people who are my age get it a little bit more because they were probably doing Dungeons and Dragons.
Possibly so.
All right.
And I have to give my wife some credit. So I used to call myself a nerd, but she says, no, nerds are like bad, but like geeks are like, have the qualities, but they're like cool.
It was always
It's
fun.
like a weird Venn diagram. I can't get it right, but you can be a nerd and a geek.
I would go like the little comic con. I was like, so man, you're like a comic nerd. I'm like, look here, man. There are different degrees of people that are in this culture. I'm like, I love comics, I love Star Trek, things of this nature, but I also know I don't like live in a basement. I know how to conduct a conversation and put on decent attire. Like if you go to the comic shows, there are a lot of different degrees of humor. I love them all. They're all my people, but there are a lot of different types of people there.
So you said, like getting dressed. So I just want to, and you're a little bit of a sneakerhead here. So, I want you to take a look at the footwear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing Skechers. I am wearing the least dressy shoes I can get away with.
Oh, it was tough. The Vans was nice.
Yeah, he's got the Vans. I've got the sneaks.
All birds?
No, these are actually, they're called Sayola. So, I don't know. I found them online. They're pretty cool. They're really comfortable. I'm sure they'll send us some merch after this.
Yeah, we just dropped the free references.
Because
I haven't even heard of that.
Isn't that what happens on podcasts when somebody drops a free reference? They send you all kinds of merch.
Oh, if we should start talking about pizza every week.
Well, although we've had White Castles and Jenny's on the podcast, like literally had Lisa and then Jenny from Jenny's on the podcast. We got no merch from them. So I'm sure that would be some kind of an ethics violation or something. That's why they haven't sent it.
We did discuss that there was an ethics code exception written in invisible ink for White Castle hamburgers.
That's true.
Like, the ethics commission's like, we understand.
or shoes. I mean, we would take the.
So what are your shoes? What do you wear?
By the way, Lisa, I'm a size 11. You're a size.
Yeah, 11.5.
These are Nike. They did a collab with Pata. This was Pata in, I think, Denmark or the Netherlands. I can't remember, but it's a boutique out there. So they did a special take on the Air Force One. So normally this is supposed to be like a flat, this mud cage here, but instead it's like a wave pattern. So I've never been to the Pata, but I love to visit the store. But I would love these shoes. Air Max ones are.
Now, would anyone like try to buy those? Are those like rare, like special editions that people want to buy? Or
yeah, it was like, it wasn't like a suit. It came out. It was a couple different colors. There's this and like 2 other colorways. So it will be a task to have these shoes.
So, little friendly parenting advice. I've got 2 who are older. You need to get a storage unit or something before little man gets any bigger, because you are gonna break yourself financially. When he hits, well, you know this. You teach middle school kids. The minute he steps into middle school, you are going to be broke, because he is going to be all about. And don't tell me, oh yeah, he's already starting. Nope, you are going to be broke. You have got to to break this habit for yourself.
I told my wife, my friends know this for years, because a lot of my friends are all sneaker friends, that I have a preset plan for him, because I did not have a lot of shoes I had growing up. We did not have a lot of means growing up as kids. So it was a struggle. Like, Mom, I need these shoes. They're laughing at me. Such and such and such and such. So he has to go through a struggle period.
He gonna be wearing pieces
they're-
of wax paper tied with a string or something.
He has a couple nice. He has some limited edition shoes. I'm like, no, you're my little guy, my firstborn.
Did you buy those baby Jordans?
Oh, he has a couple.
I was at a store, Nike store, and I was like, they don't even know they're cool. But
Even Nick's son, Xavier X, my nephew, I got him a couple. I'm like, this man's my blood. I got to make sure you guys are good.
Well, I mean, you got to help him out because it's Nick. So, you got to help him out.
But yeah, by the time he hits elementary school, it's gonna die down. You're gonna get one pair of nice and another pair of destroyed shoes.
You better hope he doesn't have your size shoes.
Oh man,
Because my daughter figured out where my Lego room was, and she's always trying to get up in there. And I'm like, no, here's your Duplos. You stay away from my Legos.
Dude,
So he's gonna be like wearing your shoes.
I'm
like,
not home right now. Hopefully, I close the door every morning. Daddy's room. Daddy's toys. He's destroyed a couple of my action figures. I collect action figures as well.
Go ahead.
All right. So what do you collect?
What's your wife's name?
Abby.
Abby. I'm really sorry. But
And you got a new best friend out of it.
Yeah. Abby and Marcia need to
Therapy group.
Because you two are going to be like just part of the goal of this whole podcast was Darren's new to the community and we needed to get Darren a friend.
Yeah, and I've liked
and
it's
taken us 15 or 16 episodes, but I think we have found a friend.
Everyone's been very nice, but they've always been kind of like, all right, I'm going to be friendly with you, but I don't actually want to ever see you again. But I feel like we could be friends. So what do you collect?
So I have a ton of Marvel figures. I got majority of the X-Men cast. Only DC figures I have are the 4 main Green Lanterns, Sinestro, a couple of Pride, Silver Surfer, Thanos, Galactus.
Do you have a certain type of line that you collect? Marvel Legends?
I have a couple Marvel Legends. I got a couple Diamond Selects. So it all depends. My main thing is, my man is like, what are these people talking about?
Ryan and I are like, oh my God.
I'm weak. But my main thing is for the appearance. I don't necessarily gravitate towards things that I've seen in the movie. I want comic accurate figure. So Avengers. I don't have all the Avengers. I got Captain, Iron Man. I'm working on getting all the Spider-Man villains. That's
a lot.
My buddy just picked me up the Scorpion from Comic-Con. Just waiting for it to come in. I have everyone from Star Trek almost. So I have the entire cast of Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager.
That's impressive.
I've not seen Darren be this impressed since Lisa walked in with her shoes.
No, the White Castle shoes is number one still. So when I was at Comic-Con, the Diamond Select booth had a secret code every day. If you got there first and gave it to you, they gave you one. So I got a Diamond Select Cobra Kai toy. But then I got Iron Man, and it is pretty slick.
I have the swords for Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow hanging up in my house.
So you want to tell them about your Funko Pop thing?
Do you know what Funko Pop is?
Yeah, I have a couple Funko Pops.
Are you into those? So
I only have a couple.
So yeah, I have a lot. Yeah. That's probably my equivalent to your action figures because they take up a lot of space. But we have a wall lined up along the border of our house and got some exclusives at Comic-Con.
I'm trying to get a Khonshu. This is a Moon Knight character. Funko Pop for my little man. He's like, "Where's Khonshu? Where's Khonshu?" Daddy's got you, man. Just give me some time for the show.
I don't know. I got nothing.
Do you have a favorite comic book character?
Oh yeah, man.
I hitch with teams, but you're wearing a Silver Surfer shirt. He's actually one of my favorites.
That's my son is named after the Silver Surfer.
Wait, is his name Norin?
Yeah.
No. No. I'm about to just say something to you that we cannot maybe not be friends anymore. I wanted to name my kid Norin because I thought it could go girl or boy, and this is the one disagreement.
Well, did we tell him what your daughter's name is?
Parker.
Oh, after Peter. Oh, that's
so
sweet, man.
I lost on the Nor, and Marsha wouldn't let me do it, so we settled on Parker. But for the longest time, that was going to be my kid. And she found an article where a family actually got in a fight over that name.
Oh.
And she showed it to me because they wanted to name him Nor, and I guess they named him Nor and Luke. So the compromise was she wanted to name him Luke after Luke Skywalker. He wanted Norn, so they combined it. And that kind of got me off it because I was like, well, someone else did it. I don't need to do it. So I'm kind of glad I didn't because I would have been like 2 Norns in one town. Would have been kind of weird. But that was literally going to be my name.
Because none of the rest of this has been weird at all.
I can't. Well, Silver Surfer's real name is Norn Rad.
No, we figured that out.
Man, I like you, but I'm kind of jealous that you got to pull that off.
Ewing wasn't gonna work. Or Patrick, so I was like, all right, man.
Wait, she nixed Patrick? You cannot name our son Patrick. Norrin is okay.
Or was it just because she didn't want your son to be saddled with the name of somebody associated with such a losing franchise?
Oh.
Cut me deep, sir.
Sometimes we go harsh here.
Do you have a team, Steve?
I do. For basketball, it is the Cavaliers.
Okay, I can respect
being
that.
in Ohio, having grown up in Cincinnati. I could go back and say, well, it's the Royals and the Big O, but
You're not that old, are you?
no, I'm not that old. But it's close to it, though. No, it's the Cavs, and then having grown up in Cincinnati, it's the traditional being a college basketball fan, and growing up in Cincinnati, it's also just usually rooting against Kentucky. Just as
that's
it's
fair.
rooting against the Browns kind of thing.
I respect hometown pride when I meet people like, oh, you from here? What's your team? The Lakers. I'm like, you're from Ohio.
Yeah, you got it. It seems with the NBA, a lot of people now move with the players. Like I like LeBron, so wherever he goes, I'm like front running with them or something. But it should be about where you are, right?
I got a buddy that's from GA and is not a fan of any team from Georgia except the Bulldogs. I'm a Steelers fan. I'm a Laker fan. I'm like, you are from Atlanta and you live in Ohio. Where do these other teams come from?
Yeah. All right, this has been a lot of fun for Darren.
We know for a fact that my wife will really enjoy this episode.
So, as I told you before we started, we always finish with 2 questions.
Yep.
What do you love about UA, and what would you change?
All right, what do I love? Oddly enough, the reason why I think I decided to live out here was the first time I drove through the area, saw sidewalks. This is I'm telling you the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
I saw sidewalks and I saw people walking, and it made me feel almost like at home. Like just being, some of my best memories back in New York are just taking a walk through from Brooklyn, man, just different boroughs, walking by people, seeing people outside, just people watching. And just when I moved here, okay, I was able to walk along streets, being families, people outside. I can walk to the grocery store, and just being able to take a stroll. Not like when I first moved to Columbus, I was out on the east side, and there's like, I'm walking on the side of a road looking like an idiot and cars flying past. Yeah. So just that community aspect of being able to stroll through, that's my favorite thing.
That's awesome.
What would I change about UA? It's actually surprisingly, I'm noticing change on my own, just more diversity. I know when I first came out here, I was like, man, I'm like the Rosa Parks of this neighborhood. I was like, oh, and then like I'd randomly see, I'm like, all right, oh, look at this person, look at this person. And even at the fair yesterday, and y'all had something at, what was that, Northland Park? I messed up the park name. Like a big festival. There were like inflatables, a ton of stuff for kids.
At, Miller Park.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of people out there. And I always just, whenever I go anywhere, I always scope the crowd and see. And there's a lot of different people here. There's someone behind me in the line. They were maybe it was a Spanish-speaking country. They're having like a full-on conversation. Like, I wonder where these 2 dudes are from, because that's my biggest thing from the city. I love, you can go to a different spot around, and you're like in a different country. You hear different languages, you eat different foods, and you learn about different things. So whenever I get an opportunity, if I can like see people from different parts of the world, just different stories that are different from mine, and I can learn something new, I enjoy that. At the festival yesterday, like I was talking to a lady at the little thing, the Soul Spot. She was from Cameroon. I was like, oh, you're from Cameroon, Ghana. We had a nice conversation, and I saw so many different people asking her about the food. So hopefully, seeing more things like that, that's what I would enjoy.
Awesome. Yeah, and that, it's so as I said, I think I said at the outset, we're doing this the day after we did Arts in Arlington, and it was, I was really pleased with the event, and part of the reason I like doing events down there is, we'll do stuff at some of our bigger parks, and it feels like you're going to a suburban park, doing stuff down there. Not a lot of people outside of Arlington. I didn't grow up here. I didn't know it was down there, and it's this great little spot, and doing things that bring more people into the community who don't live here. It brings more diversity in the community, and it shows off some of the great stuff that we got that people just don't know we have. So it's awesome. Well, listen, man, thanks for coming on. I will tell Bankston that you said definitively you could totally take him, whether it's like just simply picking him up and throwing him down, or taking him on the basketball court and just bullying him to the hole. I will tell Bankston that you went on and on and on about that, because those things are accurate, right?
Not gonna disagree, but Bankston, that's my guy, man. That's
Right,
my
just
bro,
checking.
man. I love that dude.
But thanks for coming on. Thanks for being part of our community. Thanks for doing what you do to educate kids. We didn't get a lot into that, but
Sorry, that's on me.
I know, there was the two of you. There was no stop. And thank you for helping us find Darren a friend, and that's the most important thing, because I think we have found next to Marcia, Darren's second soulmate here today. So thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure, man. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.